Everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining in on ThriveJ Media's podcast channel and YouTube channel. Today we have the lovely Makhosi Ingwe and Makhosi Mamba on our show today. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you give us a little bit of background about who you are and just introduce yourselves?
Tolazani, everyone. My name is Makhosi Ingwe. I am a spiritual indigenous healer, aka Sangoma. I've been practicing for about a decade, but independently as a Sangoma for about 4 years. I love connecting with people, healing, learning stories, learning and exchanging things, basically. all to do with spirituality, of course.
So Zani, greetings. I'm Makhosi Mamba. I'm a healer. I'm a traditional healer. I use indigenous knowledge to heal people, and yeah, to sum it up.
Basically what we are, we live, breathe, and move with spirituality. Yeah.
How did you get started within the spiritual community and with your method of healing?
Well, with spirituality, I would say it started at birth because I think for both of our parts, we grew up Christian. So with regards to spirituality, I think that's both of our origin story. But becoming healers, that came a little bit later. Personally, for me, spirituality or looking at it outside of the religious or Christian aspect started around age 16, 17, where I started taking my physical and mental health a little bit seriously. I started doing yoga and so on. So that flourished and turned into other things. So my spiritual awakening happened. And then that's when I would say I'd started more going into the traditional healing aspect. That was about 5-6 years ago.
I think my spiritual background is a bit complicated because I was in the Christian background first, and then from there, I then practiced a lot of Christianity, and I was among, I would say, the prophets in the church. So it was like 14, if not 15. So that's when I started to understand what spirituality is in the context of Christianity. And then because the ancestors thing was a bit taboo, it was a lot. So they had to try to block the ancestral part of it and just focus on Christianity, right? But when time goes, I started to get sick. At the time where I started to get sick, mentally I was not okay, so I was depressed like most of the time. So I've been having dreams that are then associated with ancestral ways of healing. So so that's when I would say I had that awakening and noticing that, okay, this thing is actually true. So I went through initiation. So I dreamt of my Kovela. So a Kovela is a mentor, a person who like initiates you and takes you through the journey. So yeah, I dreamt of her, and then I went there. I was not fine when I went there. I was a bit mentally disabled. So yeah, but 5 minutes I was there, and then I was like healed just to be at that place. Yeah. So I would say I was led to that place.
A lot of controversial beliefs regarding being a Sangoma and what that entails. How would you speak into people's controversial beliefs regarding that?
This is coming from somebody who is relatively new in the Sangoma community or industry. I say relatively because there have been people who 20 years, 30 years, etc. You know, so they would have gone through what being a Sangoma was during apartheid, the early stages of coming out of apartheid. So it wasn't just that it was a secret in the Black society, it was also a secret just in general to not practice traditionalism or African spirituality. So largely that still lingers even now, where a lot of us are looked at as practitioners of witchcraft. I want to say that's like the biggest one that we face, that we're not looked at as healers. We're looked at as people who are capable of doing a lot of damage when it comes to the dark arts or just hurting people in general. So anytime I think we go into any public place, either wearing our regalia or something like that, we do always get stares, even though we're this young, you know. Other than that, because I think that's the biggest one that I see that I can comment on, because the other ones are just how I speak versus how other typical Sangomas would speak. So it's kind of, you're not supposed to, are you sure? This is your path, etc., etc. So it's still a big taboo to say you're a Sangoma, and then people associate that with a spiritual healer. Mostly that for me, I see that people still talk about it as people who go and do dark things or practice witchcraft all the time, instead of being able to balance yin and yang.
And to add on that, it's a matter of demonizing the practice on its own, because of the history of it, saying that it's not then related to the Bible. The Bible does not want these things, and as African people, we are all spiritual beings, African or not. So it was then easy for them to adapt to this ideology of, no, those ancestors you were acknowledging, they're not good spirits, they're actually bad spirits. So the only way to take it, and the only way to elevation is then Christianity only. It's only God, and not understanding that as much as we also know that God is the creator. That's why in most cases in our culture, we always say it's God of our ancestors, you know. So we acknowledge the fact that he is the creator of our ancestors, and we are our ancestors. So I think it is a matter of separating the two. They always separate the two. So that's the reason why we cannot even be welcomed in churches, because in most cases they would say, no, you're not Christianity, say you must pray one God, you know, you must worship one God, and not understanding that we're not even actually worshiping ancestors, but we are acknowledging ancestors. It's also even in our in Zulu we say itakazelo, in Swati they say itinanatelo, which means our chants. So in our surnames, we would have chants,
clan
names that will then tell you the story about us, that will tell you the story about our forefathers. So yeah.
I want to just go back a little bit about the dark side as well. Obviously, there, as you mentioned, yin and yang, there's a little bit of dark in every good and a little bit of good in every dark. But a lot of controversial statements that I've heard regarding Sangomas were that it's dark black magic. And do you see that within the community or within your practice? Or is there a lot of black and dark magic involved?
I would say, you know, I think it's what I was telling you over the voice notes was that there is a lot of hush hush in the society with good and bad reason, where there's secrecy and then there is secrecy that was enforced upon the healers of that time. You understand? So now, with the new age or the modern healers, they're not really afraid to show what it is that they do on a day-to-day basis. So unfortunately, it's more of the darker perceived practices that seem to get cloud and a rave, because I could be going to the mountain and then having a ritual for 3 days, whereby which I'm just asking for guidance and light and connection. That wouldn't be perceived as interesting as somebody going to a grave site to go and use the sand for something. You understand? It's what's publicized, unfortunately. So obviously we know that through understanding energy, we're able to manipulate the energy around us. That's why we do things. That's why you would go and pray at 3 o'clock, or you'd go and pray at 6 o'clock, or you do meditation at specific times, etc., etc. You're trying to manipulate an energy or a portal or a spirit, whatever it is that you're connecting to. So the darker things do look darker because you are forcefully changing or manipulating that energy. Unfortunately, it looks, I don't want to say cantankerous, or it's something that is not normal. So that's what's going to be seen and draw more attention to people. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's unfortunately how it's being perceived. As much as there are people, there are many healers who talk about healing, who talk about psycho-spirituality, who talk about the good things that you can do for yourself and those around you, and how you can do them, and how you can extend yourself into creating a healing environment as a healer. But unfortunately, especially in our society, it's very hardly seen. I don't know if it's a low vibration of it's as if people like suffering. People like seeing other people suffer. So, oh my God, this person is going through this and this and this. I wonder how they got through that. Or I know I'm relating to that. This person's issue got solved by this. So maybe I should do the same thing, without doing research, asking healers who are going to actually help you. It's more the quick solution, let me say. And the quick solution doesn't come with going every day for 3 days, for 7 days to the mountain sunrise. It comes at night when you do this and this and this. You understand? So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. And to add on that, in most cases, we know as the Sangoma practice, like the traditional healing practice, in most cases we always preach light, right? Because at the end of the day, we are healers. So there's this thing that when you are a healer, you are only a healer. You cannot mess with bad spirits. You cannot wish dark things upon someone else, because at the end of the day, you have a vibrational energy that has creativity. So if you, the same way you have power to like transfer healing energy to another person, you can also have power to do bad things to another person, right? So it's a matter of, yes, it's good and bad, and you trying to balance the good and bad, and remembering that there are people who are going to have bad intentions, that are going to come to you and say, I want this thing to happen to this particular person, right? But it's within a healer to say, no, I cannot do that, because I am strictly healing people, right? So our healing does not consist of only healing your ailments, your body, and it's also protecting you. We also protect you, we fortify you, so that you don't then catch external spirits or bad spirits, external bad spirits. So yeah, so the light and the dark, it's all in the person, to like always try to balance them, because yeah, we all preach healing.
In some of my research that I've done before, prior to doing this podcast, I asked some of my subscribers what they would like to know and if there's any questions they would like answered. And something that stood out a lot was the commercialization of being a Sangoma, where 50, 20, even 20 years ago, there was one Sangoma within one tribe, which is that family, and that person was the Sangoma for that entire village. It's now become so commercialized that in one street, for instance, in Mamelodi, there would be 8 or 9 or 10 different Sangomas. What's your take on that?
What I would say is that at the end of the day, to be a Sangoma is to fulfill a certain purpose, the purpose of your ancestors at the end of the day, right? So we can be 8 Sangomas in one area, but we all serve different purposes at the end of the day, right? There's a Sangoma that is then good with healing babies, right? So that Sangoma, he or she is also an asset to the community, because they can take their babies there, right? There's another Sangoma who's then well known of giving people medicine to like detox their bodies, so that they can have babies, they can feel healthy and functional, right? So we all serve our different purposes at the end of the day. So the commercializing, I think it comes with evolution, and us saying that this is not that dark. We are also people, right? We also are ordinary people, which is that we have ancestors that guides us and give us the wisdom and the knowledge to practice things. So it's just people being proud of being Sangomas in that way. And another thing is that our ancestors are trying by all means to bring us back to our roots. That's why you see a lot of young people going through initiation, right? So that they can then help their families to take them back to the roots, how we were used to live. So to initiate, it's not only about healing, it's also about removing generational traumas. It's also about healing certain things that are there in the family, right? Probably you are not a Sangoma that needs to be in your ndumba, in your sacred space, and heal people 24 hours. You just went there so that you can fix your spiritual lineage, your blood lineage, so that you can fix certain things that are there in your family, that they are then delaying the progress of your family.
The next question was, Do you have any examples of where someone came to you with a specific problem and they got their solution? You don't have to name names or any specific details, but just some examples of where it actually really worked.
I'm going to try and give like maybe a few different examples. There was a lady who came to me. We did a bone reading for her and then found out that she's got firstly the generational trauma that for some reason there was a contract that was made spiritually in generations that have passed that are affecting the women in her family with regards to getting married, staying married, relationships, and then that also transfers into the fertility of the women. So if they do have children, it's mostly boys, and if they do, it's very hard for them to get pregnant and stay pregnant. So miscarriages happened a lot in that family. We ended up doing a ritual for her that removes curses and hexes that were placed on her from birth. We were able to, with guidance from our ancestors, get the necessary herbs, the thyme and everything. And then we went and cleansed her. It was, I think, a month ago. She told me that she's now pregnant. Things are going well with regards to the situation at home. So sometimes it does take a little bit long, and then sometimes we do get short-term answers or short-term revelations, let me say. Another client of mine seemed to have been like under not strain or stress, but there were people who were trying to attempt for his life in different ways, whether it be a hitman or this. So we went to the river. I did a cleansing for him. This was about, I think, 3 years ago. We did a cleansing for him. We did the fortification that Mamba spoke about. And then he went home, and I think that was a Saturday. The Tuesday off, he was messaging me saying that there were again people who tried to hijack and unalive him. But somehow, some way, he was able to make it out. So since then, he hasn't come back. So I take that as a good thing. You don't go to a doctor if everything is fine. So it's good that you see that there are some people who, I don't think we've had people who really like complain about something not working or something not working they need that the way they want it to work. We understand that, and we do try to communicate with our patients and clients that everything is energy. You cannot ask for something if you're not in the space to receive it as well. So along with the us actively doing something for you, whether we're praying, we're meditating, we're doing energy healing, we're cleansing you at the river or whatever, we do try to communicate with our patients and clients that you need to be in the space to receive what the universe, what your ancestors, what God is giving you. So that it's not that it's just a one-sided thing. For any contract, there needs to be two people or two entities that sign it. You cannot expect things just to fall into your lap. So I think that is something that we preach, is that as much as you go externally to get help, you need to look internally and also get the evolution or the growth that you need to get out of this, because life is lessons. If you're not learning anything, you're going to come right back to it.
So do you have any upcoming events, or what are your future plans?
We do, actually. We've been doing retreats. We were going through the stage of winter rest and restoration. Now we're kind of transitioning into spring, so we're letting go what needs to be let go, whether it be old relationships, habits that don't serve you, etc., etc. We're going through that with a few of our patients and clients, and then we do have a retreat at the end of the month on the 28th, where we'll be actively now pushing the transition and start of spring, which is spring equinox. And then we're also tapping into or blending that with some of the energies of the African New Year. So we're having a retreat with that. And then also we're encouraging people to either come and get consultations just so that you can find out if it isn't the physical you that knows what you need to let go of. Maybe there are spiritual blockages or spiritual chains that are holding you from passing the specific level. We don't want people to repeat cycles of suffering, of pain, of loss. So that's kind of what we're trying to bring forward to everybody. Knowledge is power, but sharing that is where it's at, you know. We like to, as much as we're doing things for ourselves, so we're not doing it like, you need to do this. We're all doing it together. So we're creating a community of people who understand the things that they're doing, why and when. So with our retreats, we kind of do a conversation circle where we're talking about either the energy or the reason we're there for that day. We used to, or the previous retreats were at the mountain, where we would use the energy of the peak closer to the sun to kind of give us that energy to go through the dark days or the longer nights of winter and so on. So now we're fully accepting the sun and everything that comes with it. So we do encourage, or we do have kind of a promotion for the month where we're doing cleansings as well, whether it's the river or at the mountain. So yeah, I don't know if that's, yeah, for this month. And then we try to have the retreats or the conversation circles every month end, so people can just look out for that. Yeah, with regards to our services, it's the consultation, the plant medicines, and the clearing and cleansings that we work with people. Yes. And then our products are still in a very much starting phase, but we have hopes and dreams to expand into making spirituality a norm, whether it's herbal teas, incense blends that are handmade, so you know what's in them. Your baths, because I get that a lot of people have showers, so they can't really have herbal baths and stuff like that. So we're working on things to also make it accessible to people who have showers. Candles that are going to be used for rituals or prayer and meditation. And then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. If our audience members would like to get in touch with you regarding your services or products or even your retreats, how would they get in contact with you?
For both of us, we are on Instagram, WhatsApp. You can find me on Facebook and TikTok as well. Collectively, we are at Sangoma Soul Speaks on Instagram and TikTok. And then for me personally on Instagram, it's at Yue Liang's the name. I know it's a little bit of a trippy one, but at Yue Liang's the name on Instagram. Otherwise, they can DM us or contact us on WhatsApp. Yeah. And then for Makhosi Mamba, it's also at Makhosi Mamba on Instagram. And then for WhatsApp, to contact us straight is this as well, our WhatsApp numbers.
They're on the bio.
Yeah, they're on, everything is on the bio. Everything is on the bio.
What is the core message that you want to leave our listeners with today?
Well, for me, I would honestly say that if anything, we should be able to see and feel the energies that are happening around. You shouldn't be oblivious or have a spiritual ego and say that you're not affected by anything that's happening, whether it's politically, whether it's socially, whether it's economically, whether it's spiritually, one way or another, there is change going on. So for you to continue the same way you were continuing last year is very, I would say, very much against the law of the universe, you know. If you're going through something and you can't explain it, seek help. Look for ways to balance things. And it might not mean that you come to me, but in community, we're all connected. We need to find a way that without prejudice, without judgment, that we're all connecting, and especially spiritually, because a lot of things are happening spiritually. That if I say I'm okay, the next person should be okay so that I can be okay, and vice versa. Otherwise, there's just going to be a lot of miscommunication, and from there stems fear, hatred, jealousy, very low vibrating things that we don't need. We have a very beautiful place we call home, and for us to destroy it on a continuous basis is not okay.
I would say we are spiritual beings, and we need to take care of our spiritual wellness, how we are spiritually, and understanding that you need to vibrate at a level that you want your reality to be. So when you vibrate positively, you'll get positive things, right? When you then dwell a lot in negative things, you'll get negative things. So it's all about always aligning yourself and trying to understand that in most cases, spiritual wellness comes with physical things. Your body can be painful just because a lot of the times your chakras are not aligned. So you need to align yourself with your energy points so that you can have then proper functionality. Another thing is that we should take time to listen to ourselves. We should take time to introspect, because the power is within us. So we always have to understand that when you are not fine, try to seek within and understand what's troubling you, what's your triggers, so that you can then focus on that and heal them. And there are a lot of things that you can do spiritually that can help you heal those things, like your meditation. If you believe in prayer, you pray. If you believe in music, you do music, so that you then vibrate at a joyful and happy frequency.
Yeah. Thank you so much, both of you. May you be blessed in all your endeavors going forward.
Thank you for having us. I think we learned a lot as well, just by listening to each other. So thank you as well.
Yes, Tozani, thank you. Yeah, thank you a lot.
Thank you everyone for signing in. Hope to see you in our next podcast. Bye.